Hello, fellow. Hello, Stooge fans. It is the 18th episode that the Stooges did with Columbia, and it's called Whoops, I'm an Indian.
This one was directed by Dialog. It was written by two people, Cyril Kramer and Herman Boxer. But then there's a screenplay credit to Clyde Bruckman.
And they got together and did a hell of a film.
I think this is the first film where they employed a lot of special effect gags. Not just a couple, probably 7 or 8 physical gags that required some kind of special effect setup.
Our scorecard goes as follows.
Yeah, we ranked this one very high. We marked this one identically. Slapstick comedy, a 3. There's a ton of slapstick comedy in this, especially considering, as I just mentioned, the special effects.
Next category, dialogue gets a 3. Some of the dialogue is completely out of the blue. You know,
I think there's a lot of ad-libbing going on in here.
Yeah. Moe and Curly are talking about fish chewing tobacco. You know, it's insane.
The plot gets a 3. The plot is really interesting. They are hooligans in the Western days trying to swindle people out of money
by gambling.
In a gambling racket. Right. The sheriff is after them. They have to disguise as Indians in order to get away from the sheriff, and the guy they screwed over in the gambling situation ends up coming after them because his wife left them for Indians. It's kind of convoluted, but the point is,
it's fun.
It comes together and it works really well. So the plot gets a 3.
One of the cool things about this film is that it doesn't have a terrible ending. It's actually quite clever. They go running from everybody right into jail.
Yeah.
So that's
very clever
okay.
ending. You know when
if they had jumped on horses from behind some bushes, we would have went, what? Or swam away in the water scene that they were using. You know, we could think of a stupid ending for this, but they didn't do it, and right. I'm glad. I like that.
Yes, very suitable ending.
Right. So it took 3 guys to make a really good Stooge episode. What's up with that?
But this is a really good one. Anyway.
Okay, so the supporting cast gets a 3. Everybody's good. Everybody's funny.
This is probably one of Bud Jamison's best performances in a Stooge episode.
Yeah.
So far, anyway.
So
far, it definitely is. It's his strongest performance and his most fun.
The Stooges get 3s all the way down.
Absolutely.
They're real funny. Real funny.
This again. The only thing wrong with this film is there are absolutely no women in it at all. So it gets a 1 for Pretty Girls. So this one marks 22 from both of us.
Right, I give it a 22.
And again, the only reason it doesn't get the highest score possible is because sticking with this system, you can't give it a 3 for Pretty Girls, so it doesn't get it.
And it didn't get any extra credit points.
I would say the only drawback for me personally is that it's not one of these episodes that employs that classic factor of the Stooges having to measure up to high society or to pose as high society.
I would agree. I don't think it's a classic premise, but I smiled through this whole thing and chuckled and belly laughed. So I'm happy with my score. I'm happy with this because, like he said, it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, we haven't
seen this in
a lot of these in a while.
And so here's the question. I'm posing it to you, and I'm posing it to you. Is this a Stooge film that you would sell the Stooges with? Is it?
I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes because a lot of people probably think that's a strange idea.
But you got to understand what we're saying.
I think there are a lot of people who do not understand what is supposed to be so funny about the Stooges, because as familiar as they think they are with the Stooges, they aren't. They don't know any of the films. All they know is eye-poking and smacking and slapping. And they think that that's the entirety of what the Stooges had to offer.
That's where the question comes up is this a Stooge short that you would try to sell your love for the Stooges to with someone who didn't like the Stooges or someone who did like the Stooges?
And that's why, you know, I'm talking about this idea, is this a classic premise or not? Because that's really important to me. No, this film, Whoops, I'm an Indian, does not have a classic premise. However, it is so good and so funny and so well written and such a good, strong story from beginning to end that yes, this is definitely on the list of films I would show someone who is not familiar with the Stooges in order
Or
to convert them into a
Yeah.
dedicated Stooge fan.
Or someone who is a Stooge fan and wants to see a really funny episode. Show me a good one. Okay, so here it
Yeah,
is.
and there's one other thing. We're all familiar with this, with Curly doing
Yeah.
this, right? But in chronologically, I don't think I've seen him do this too much, except here. And if he did employ that once or twice, okay. But you know what? The reason that he goes into this routine in this film is absolutely the most classic thing I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's really
It is so funny after so many years of watching the Stooges and getting this collection and watching it chronologically and finding new things that
to laugh at.
absolutely strike me as hilarious and that I've never seen before and never noticed before.
Right. I want to point out one other thing too. Moe's in rare form. Moe's really good in this.
Moe's pretty good in this.
Moe.
See, sometimes Moe bosses Larry and Curly around for no reason, but considering the stress that they're supposedly under,
Yeah.
it makes sense that Moe is an asshole.
Right.
See, not often actually. In most films, his actions, his Moe routine is justified.
Yeah.
But there are occasional films where his actions do not seem justified and
Snacking
therefore,
and poking to get a laugh rather than being Moe.
rather than being in character and being under stress or
Or the reason.
if Moe's under, see, that's the whole thing. And this is what I mean. If a non-Stooge fan was to watch a film that, if a non-Stooge fan was to watch one of the films where Moe's Moe routine
wasn't justified.
Yeah, isn't loaded with stress, then
it doesn't make
why
sense
is he
to take it
smacking
out on somebody.
Right, what's he taking things out on? That's why it's funny. He's taking out his frustrations. But if he's not frustrated, then he's being an asshole for no reason, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Okay, I think we've gone long-winded enough. So the reason is, the bottom line is, this is a really great episode. Sparks a lot of
it sparks a lot of
passion
talking
in us about the Stooges.
Right.
This is a really fun one we haven't seen in a long time,
Right.
and it and that's it.
And that's it. Okay, so that about wraps it up. And I'm going to ask you to come back for the 19th film that the Stooges did with Columbia, and it's called
Slippery Silks. And the thing about Slippery Silks is, it's the last film of 1936. It's the last film of this here, first volume 1. So, we're moving on. We've actually accomplished something. Well, not till next week, but anyway, rate, comment, subscribe to the Three Stooges review, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
On the Three Stooges review!
Oh, I'm supposed to say it? I'm sorry.
When we do Slippery Silks next week, we've completed something. We've completed Volume 1, and we're moving on to 1937, and we'll be on to Volume 2. And boy, 190 doesn't sound like a lot when you say it. But, this is number 18 that we're doing now. So next week will be 19, and still isn't, we're not even hitting 20 yet. But you know what? And we're having a great time. I hope that if you've gotten the Three Stooges collection, as we have, that you're having a great time with it. For those of you who don't know, until last year, you could not get the complete Three Stooges collection.
And let me tell you, they're in excellent quality.
Yeah,
they're
these
fun
are
to
all
watch.
look
There's nothing
really
wrong with
good.
these. They're great. They're really good.
All right.
Yeah, you got a lot of cutting to do. We could just do it again.